Welcome to Woodward Wings Power Play Edition, where we are asking the toughest questions, and we are going to get the hottest takes from everyone on this panel. I'm here. I have Flannel Sam to my right and Spencer on my left. Hello. I think it might be opposite for you guys, but that doesn't matter. We are going to be talking...
Stage right, stage left.
We are going to be talking what is success in the 2025 offseason for the Red Wings, what is failure for the Red Wings in 2025. What is Mitch Marner's deal? If you can get him at $12.7 million, do you want him or do you not? What is the max you pay Mitch Marner? Is it vital to bring back Patrick Kane? Was it the right move to let Shane Gostisbehere walk? Was Lucas Raymond's season a failure? What is Lucas Raymond's season as a success next year? Same question for Dylan Larkin. Marco Kasper has been dominating Worlds. And then that's where we're
find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
There you go. But on this time of Dragon Ball Z, we're going to be talking about Marco Kasper, because Marco Kasper is in a different stratosphere when you're talking about Worlds when it comes to Lucas Raymond. We're talking about a rookie versus a fourth-year player.
Yeah.
I expect Lucas Raymond to go out there and be top 10 in points for the Worlds. That is an expectation I have, because that's the next step for him, is to do it in the NHL season.
Yeah.
Marco Kasper has proved that he can produce in March and April. I was texting with Neil yesterday, and I told him, I was like, how can you compare a guy who is supposed to be your leading scorer, who's -8 in March and April, versus a rookie who is over +10 in that span? Like, it's not even comparable. And it's also, Kasper's a center, and Austria has no NHL talent. They literally don't have a guy on the roster who's a part of the NHL other than Marco Kasper. And the dude's got 8 points, is top 30 in scoring, and just carried Austria to the quarterfinals. That is where I take validity in it. I don't take any stock in what Lucas Raymond's doing. I only take stock in what Marco Kasper's doing, because he's never been there, he's never done that, and he has such a worse team. Sweden is NHL littered. Austria has Marco Kasper.
Yeah, he's been the guy for Austria. He was named as one of their 3 best players of the Worlds. And so you love to see that, like you said. And yeah, this is the expectation for Lucas Raymond. Is obviously he had a disappointing second half to his season last year, but you expect him to be that guy even on Team Sweden. So we saw he was that guy on Team Sweden in the Four Nations. So you expect him to continue to be that. But this is good to see for Marco Kasper. Like you said, Austria is not littered with NHL talent. You don't have all of these guys that you're seeing on top lines around the league for him to bounce points off of and to get easy opportunities because they're taking up time. He is the focal point. He is the guy that these teams are keying on when he's on the ice, and he's making plays, and he's doing it as we want to see him do it, using his size, using his physicality, being a little bit of a rat, getting under people's skin out there, throwing people off their game and taking advantage of it. So you guys know how high I am on Marco Kasper. I think his potential is limitless, so I'm excited to see what he could do next year, but it's a good showing from him in Worlds for sure.
Yeah, and I've just got a quick power stat, and then I think we can move on.
Power stat.
Marco Kasper is the only Austrian player in the top 30 in world scoring. When it comes to Sweden, he also has Leo Carlsson and Elias Lindholm. So to kind of further the point of Marco Kasper is really doing it as close to by himself as you possibly can. He's carrying this Austrian team, and it's piggybacking off of, I thought, a very strong rookie year in which he got better when he was put in a better situation. So absolutely, Marco Kasper is the highlight and should be for all Wings fans of the Worlds tournament.
100%. And the only reason that we take stock out of that is because he's never done it before, and he has the potential to show it in the NHL World.
Lalonde had him playing with Austin Watson.
Yeah. And that's enough for that. So let's get into it. Hot takes, power play time. First question: define success for the 2025 Red Wings off season.
Red Wings off season?
Yeah.
For their off season success, improving your team, getting better, bringing in veteran talent that will help your young guys project into the playoffs. Getting a guy that is going to make sure your captain and your second best player don't fall off in the second half. Getting guys on their asses. You need good veteran leadership in that locker room, and if you get a couple of those guys, they got to be good too. They can't just be happy bums. Like, they've got to be producing as well. So there's not obviously Marner is the name that people throw out there. I'm not going to limit it to a name and say it's a successful or failure if you don't get this guy, but you got to get better. You got to get vets that'll put you in the playoffs.
Yeah, I would say at minimum a top 6 scorer, a bottom 6, a top 6 5-on-5 scorer, a bottom 6 5-on-5 scorer, a defensive top 4 defenseman, and re-sign Patrick Kane. To me, that would be a successful offseason, at least on paper. I'm not saying that those are all the number one things that I would want to do. I'm just trying to look towards a benchmark of what would be successful. Augmenting this team in ways that could lift them to at least the playoffs and to a further contention down the road.
I agree with you, but and we'll get more into it later, but I don't see the Patrick Kane signing as vital as it is to bring in a top 6 forward. So I'm going to go top 6 forward, bottom 6 forward, and a D, and I think that's a successful offseason, however that looks. And I would love for Kane to be here, but I'm not going to make that the end-all, be-all that we have to sign Kane.
Fair.
What does failure for a 2025 Red Wings offseason look like?
Failure for a 2025 Red Wings offseason is not getting good vet. I mean, I don't like putting names to it. If you go, okay, I'll say it like this. As simple as this. If you go into next season with Justin Hall on your roster, it's a failure.
Yeah.
That's fair?
No, that's 100% fair. And I would say that augment your team in the worst way possible, which is kind of what the Red Wings did this past offseason.
Yeah.
I mean, and it wouldn't even be augment. It would be put them at a deficit. You need a scorer, so you get Tarasenko. That didn't work. You need another defenseman. You get Erik Gustafsson. A goaltender, Cam Talbot wasn't terrible, but he certainly wasn't what he was the year before in LA and certainly throughout his career. So if you just make the wrong signings, even if at the time they seem like needs and they don't work, that's a failure of an offseason.
I love it from both of you. I think that if you do not put your young players in a position to grow, I think that is failure. I'm not going to put a number on signings or anything or who I want. I think a failure is if you don't help Casper grow, help Raymond grow, help Seider grow, help ASP grow, and help Edmondson grow. If you don't do that this offseason, it's a failure. So Bluntman came out with an article the other day. Shout out Max Bluntman.
Shout out.
And he put the contract for Mitch Marner at $12.7 million over 7 years. Would you take that contract?
Absolutely. Not in a heartbeat, I'd take that contract. I would offer him 13 immediately. Be like, oh, the other teams are talking 12-7. All right, here's 13. Come be a Red Wing.
Yep. I have really nothing more to add. 100% yes. 12.7 over 7, that's a slight bargain in my opinion.
Yeah.
I would literally die, ascend, go to heaven, be happy as hell. I don't even know. 12-7 doesn't even seem like it's in the stratosphere right now, the way that people are talking. And
but if that's the talk, and I believe Bluntman, like he knows. So if that's the talks, if that's the numbers that people are throwing around, you gotta be in there, Stevie.
I feel like Max, you can go over like a guy like Bluntman with his resume. Like I think we all have that respect for him, where it's not going to be that far off. No. Like if it's
that's got to be the
like
he wouldn't just make that
like
up.
Like the cap when Bluntman puts this number out there, 13.5 seems like the cap on Marner, and I think like I'm not going to lose out on Marner over $800K from 12.7 to 13.5. So I'm good if we go 13.5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, 13.5. I'd probably go 14.
All right, well, that leads us to the next question. What is the max you would pay Marner?
Probably 14, honestly.
I would say 13.5 would be
okay.
Max.
All right.
I'm going 14 as well.
Yep.
I think 14. I'm willing to. I think once you get around $1.5 million overpay, that's like where I start to leave the boat, because that's another solid veteran that you could add. So that's where I'm gonna depart. All right, big question. And then the chat is not going to like this one, okay? Uh-oh. So let's just prepare them for that. So let's give them a second. How vital is Patrick Kane on this roster?
Whew.
All right. So are we talking 1 to 10? 1 to 10 rating of how vital Patrick Kane is on this roster? Yeah. All right. I'll say 6.5. I think it's important to have Patrick Kane there. He helps the young guys. There's no doubt there. He's helping these young guys get better. He has the Stanley Cup pedigree. He knows how to play in the playoffs. And obviously the friendships he has with DeBrincat and now with Seider. Like him and Seider are like best friends. And obviously DeBrincat, they've been friends for a long time. All of that is extremely important, not to mention he's almost a point per game type of guy when he's got the winged wheel on. But it's not like he is this superstar that they would be foolish to walk away from if it meant them getting Mitch Marner. Would I love them to keep Patrick Kane? Yes. Are there players on this market that are better than Patrick Kane that would benefit this team more? Yes. So I'm not going to say it's 10 out of 10. You got to keep Kaner. I want him. I love him. He's the best American-born player of all time. He's been great as a Red Wing, yes. But you want to talk about playoff liabilities? I don't know if I'm ready to see what Patrick Kane of right now looks like in a playoff game. Because if he's not physical and if he's getting out forechecked and beat to puck battles in regular season games, I know he's going to turn it up a little bit, but there's only so much those hips can turn it up, you know? So I want him on the team. I'd love him on the team, but if you're telling me I'm getting a better player and I have to at the cost of Patrick Kane, I'm doing it.
Yeah, I agree. And before you take over, Flannel, I just think that you see the way the Panthers play and Carolina plays, and they literally tell their forwards, like, go hit their D. Like, you don't need to go get the puck.
Kill them.
And because of that, imagine that on Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
Imagine Patrick Kane's hips taking hit after hit after hit every single time he has the puck, because they're not going to tell him to take the puck from Kane. They're just going to tell him to wear down his body. By the time game 4, 5, 6, 7 roll around, he's going to be dead. He's going to be ineffective. He might even be a liability, and that's a place where I don't really want to be if it means that we can sign someone that really can help the true issues on this team.
This is a tough one because I did say that
The upside is there, though.
signing Patrick
100%.
Kane with like other things would be fine. I think he could be a fantastic value potentially, especially with what you'd have to pay him. I think that he brings a particular set of skills. I mean, last year he was shout out to Liam Neeson.
Shout out Liam Neeson.
At this stage in his career, he was
Absolutely.
great. He was great on the power play. He had a knack for game-winning goals. But all that being said, he doesn't offer you anything in physicality. He doesn't play any defense, and he was like too many other Red Wings at this stage in his career, not a good 5-on-5 player.
No.
Just look at the numbers, look at the eye test. He merchanted a lot of his points off of power plays and overtime goals, and those are excellent things. Those are great things, especially overtime goals.
And everybody loves him.
Yes, but
And it
it's
gets
not-
all the
yeah.
Red Wings girls' nipples hard.
Yep.
But, like,
It's not it's not the number one thing that they need. Would I take him? Yes.
Gets
Is
my
he
nipples
high? Is he high priority? 6.5 is a pretty good like gauge of like 1 to 10.
Yeah.
and like I said, that shit gets my nipples hard, too.
Yeah.
I love Patrick Kane. Everybody loves the game-winning goals. If you are a legitimate team that wants to make a deep run into the playoffs, whether that's a series, 2 series, God forbid, a finals appearance, Patrick Kane, at best, has to be on your third line. He
Yes.
cannot be a top 6 forward on a playoff team. He cannot at this point in his career. So I'd love to, because I love Patrick Kane. He's got the aura, Flannel. He does. He's the best American player. But if you are legitimate about taking a run in the playoffs, Patrick Kane has to be a bottom 6 forward on your team. And if that's what he is, I love him. Bring him back. Absolutely.
100%.
But that means you have to get better forwards in your top 6.
No doubt. And I think that where this is all tied together is at the end of the day, you're signing Kane to another 1-year deal.
Yes.
I think both of you can agree we are at least 2 years away from competing for a Stanley Cup.
Yes.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day,
At very least.
this does not affect the Stanley Cup window.
No.
So if I can get a player who is going to be here long term and help us get to that next level, Kane is expendable.
He is.
And that's just how it is. And I'd love to bring him back. I think he's on a great deal for what value he brings you, especially if he's on the third line with Lombardi, which is what we want. I think that there's a lot of validity to signing Kane. I just don't think that it is the best move for the Red Wings if they're able to bring in some more players that can actually help the long-term success of
Yeah,
this team.
like Kane on the third line with Kopp and somebody else, would it be Lombardi or whoever it is at that other wing spot? Yeah, I'm good with that. I like that.
Hell yeah.
But this team has to be a playoff team, and I don't think you're a playoff team if Patrick Kane's in your top 6. I don't. So I love him. I want to bring him back, absolutely. And like you said, 1-year deal. It's not like he's going to be asking for this 5-year, 4 per contract. You can get him on a 1, probably 2.5, 3.5, something like that, and that's fine. But he cannot be playing top 6 minutes if you want to be a playoff team.
No doubt about that. Another thing that I think we're all going to be in agreement on is this next question, and as hard as it is to admit, was Lucas Raymond's season a failure?
No, Lucas Raymond's season wasn't a failure because he was still the leader in points of players 23 years of age or younger. He had the most points in the NHL of players 23 years of age or under. So that is not a failure. Was it disappointing? Yes, absolutely. The second half was disappointing. But where he is as compared to his peers, compared to guys his age and his level, he's ahead of them. So you can't say it's a failure, but you could say it was disappointing, and it absolutely was disappointing. The second half of his season was a failure. The first half was amazing. So, yeah, it was disappointing. I'm not going to say it's a failure, though.
I'm going to say begrudgingly yes. And I know I'm being...
You hate Lucas Raymond, Flannel. You don't deserve him, Flannel.
I deserve that. That's fair. But
send him down to the minors.
Yeah.
If you guys watch Wake Up Woodward this morning, or yesterday morning, you will know what we are talking about. But the reason why I say yes, it's because he was, unfortunately to me, maybe the face of what was one of the things that plagued this team the most. Not that he was the biggest problem, but Justin knows this. One adjective that I've used to describe Lucas Raymond this year, amongst the whole season, not even just the second half, bit of a power play merchant. 37 out of his 80 points were on the power play. 29 out of his 80 points were on power play assists. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing or that he can't build upon that. I really like how he developed as a distributor and not just a goal scorer. But at the end of the day, his 5-on-5 scoring, like the rest of the Red Wings, was very, very mid to bad. And in the case of Lucas Raymond, I'd say like mid, not bad, but Lucas Raymond on the 5-on-5 and in the second half of the season was very disappointing to me.
Yeah, I can't be mad at that. Like I say, we expected him, even though how young he is, we expected him to take the jump this year into stardom, and that's putting a whole season together, and he didn't do that. So, if that you look at it from that aspect, I guess you could say it's a failure. But like I said, he was the best player his age or younger in the league. So I can't say it's a failure of a season, but he's got to be better. And like I said, or I was going to say, it's like the saying, if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough. Like the song.
Yeah.
If you're going to be small, you got to be tough. And so Lucas Raymond, he showed the physicality a little bit. That's gotten better. He's been protecting the puck a lot better. I think he needs to work with Hank in the offseason a little bit because Henrik Zetterberg was one of the best players I've ever seen. His size, winning puck battles, protecting the puck, getting in on the forecheck. He was so good at that. So get with your Swedish brother, get with your Red Wings brother, learn some knowledge from him. And get back out there. But the progression is there. He just needs to put it all together for a complete season.
And that takes us into the next question. Define success for Raymond moving forward. And I'm going to take this one because I think success for Lucas Raymond moving forward is just finding that level of consistency that you have to find when you're becoming a veteran in this league. And I think that he's just not there yet. Like you said, led under 23 players in points. That is a spectacular achievement, and he deserves flowers for that. But his performance in March and April were abysmal. I mean, -8 on the top line of your team, 17 points in 23 games, dropping below a point per game, which he was above for 3/4 of the season. I do think that is 100% disappointing. And I think just finding that consistency I'm not asking for this monumental improvement. Like, I'm not asking for 30 points in 23 games from Lucas Raymond next year. I would just like to see him better in 5-on-5 next year during March and April. If he gives me 17 points in 23 games and is a +4 next year, even though it's the same point totals, but he improved the 5-on-5, I'm good with it. I'm not asking for a lot because he's already at a point where he's so close to etching his name into the next level of superstar. Mm-hmm. He just needs to get there.
He's got to complete it for a whole season.
100%. So this...
He's only 23.
Yes. Yeah. This question now switches over to Dylan Larkin, which is a completely different scenario because you've seen Dylan Larkin here for 7 or 8 years, and there's been a lot of people who honestly don't know what the hell they're talking about. Let's just call it how it is. Who want to trade Larkin and Seider to the Maple Leafs for Matthews, which will never happen. So let's just cut that right there. I don't know what. Like, I hope that I can get whatever they're smoking. Honestly, like I need it. But
shout out the DMAC pack.
Hell yeah. But Dylan Larkin. Was his season a failure last year?
Yes, absolutely. Dylan Larkin's season was a failure last year because there are different expectations for these players because they're on different exits of the highway, as my friend Neil Rule likes to say.
Oh, yeah.
Dylan Larkin has been in the league for this long. You know what he is. He's got to be that guy. If you want to be a 1C, if you want to be the captain, if you want to be a star, you got to do it for a full season. It's the same thing as Lucas Raymond. They had very identical seasons. First half was great. Second half, they fell off a cliff. For Lucas Raymond, you could chalk that up to him being young and needing to learn. You can't do that for Dylan Larkin. He's the vet. He's the captain. He's the guy that has to pull these guys through that ugly stretch in March. That stretch in March every year where the Red Wings go, what is they're like 1-10 in that stretch in March in the past couple of years. That's got to be your captain that pulls you through that. That's got to be Dylan Larkin stepping up and saying, fuck it, we're not losing these games. I'm going to put a hattie on somebody. I'm going to put 3 goals in 2 games on somebody. I'm going to go out there and make sure that we don't fall apart the same week every year. That lies on the captain. It does. And I need more out of Dylan Larkin in that aspect. So I'm not giving him the same reprieve that I gave Lucas Raymond because he's not a young player. He's got to go out there and be that guy. I think he can do it. I love Dylan Larkin. I gave Dylan Larkin a beer when he was 18. Statute of limitations. Doesn't matter. I expect him to go out there and be that guy. He's got to do it for a full year, and he doesn't get the excuse of being 23 because he's not.
He has been in the NHL for 10 years.
Damn.
I can't believe that. It doesn't seem like
Makes
it.
me
But
feel old.
yeah, no. Hey, how do you think I feel? I'm older than
Allegedly gave Dylan Larkin a beer when he was
older
18.
than the both of yous. But yes, this
I'm the same age as Raymond.
Damn. Yeah, but this is
big unk.
I am big. I certainly am one of the unks of this network, even if I don't always act like it. But yeah, Dylan Larkin's season was 100% a failure. Honestly, if you would have told me just before the year that Dylan Larkin was healthy for all 82 games, amongst all of the other struggles, I still would have thought that they would have been in the playoffs, because you can blame some of the skid of 23-24 on Dylan Larkin getting hurt for those 6 games. This year he played all 82, and this was the first... The previous 3 seasons before this one, he was basically, for all intents and purposes, a point-a-game guy, almost exactly a point-a-game guy. His production dipped this season. This Red Wings team couldn't afford that. And also, his 5-on-5 production dipped, just like every single other player on the Red Wings. I know that he's not the problem, but like not like the problem, but like a lot of other Red Wings, he didn't step his game up enough, and he was a symptom of either the 5-on-5 scoring problem or the PK problem. In this case with Larkin, it was the 5-on-5 thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the -10 in March and April this year on 5-on-5 says all you need to know when it comes to Dylan Larkin, and it sucks. Like, I love Dylan Larkin, and I would just love to see him go back to that player who he was, where he's not pressing so much offensively and is playing that center role. And I think that it is only going to be fixed by actually bringing in another forward that can play on that other wing, because you see the way that Dylan Larkin played last year. He was a lot more offensive minded, and I think that cost him, especially in March and April. He needs another winger out there that can score.
Absolutely.
And that can help him be that two-way.
He's not going to be the 50-goal guy.
No. I think 30-40 is, like, from him last year is even like,
yeah,
like that's
30 was good.
30 goals is a lot for Dylan Larkin, and if he gets 30 goals, I'm happy with that next year. If it means that his 5-on-5 play is better defensively,
yeah.
And I think that's where we need to see him get.
And when you look at the Red Wings record by month last year, obviously the beginning of the year wasn't great. October, November, December, you had Newsy in there, but then you get them out of there. 10-3 in January, insane when they went hot once McClellan came in. 5-2 in February, 5-2 in April, and then you look at March, and they were 4-10 with a -9 goal differential in March. You can't let that happen. That's why you didn't make the playoffs. The month of March is the reason the Red Wings did not make the playoffs. And I'm looking, and like we said, this isn't a new thing. This isn't, they just had a bad month. It's been 3 years in a row now where they are the worst team in the NHL in the month of March. And that has kept them out of the playoffs in 2 of the last 3 years. You need your captain to step up in that stretch and say, I'm not letting this happen again. So that's what I need to see out of Dylan Larkin. Is he good? Like I said, is he going to be the 40-goal scorer? No, he's not. That's not who he is. It's not his game. But I need him to step up in those moments. That's where your captain has to pull your guys out of the weeds and say, hey, get off your fucking ass. We're not getting our asses dogged every March. And that's the biggest leap out of, like you said, 30 goals for Dylan Larkin. I love that. I'm good with that. But I need specific play in that specific month out of your captain, and you can have that microscope on him because he's got the C on his chest.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. I don't think that there is anything wrong with anything that you said. Flannel, do you want to touch on anything about Dylan Larkin?
Like I said before, just the 5-on-5 scoring took a dip like a lot of the rest of the team. His production overall took a dip, and unfortunately the Red Wings just could not afford that this past year? Is he playing a role maybe bigger than he should? 100%. Was there a lot of fluctuation on one of the wings on the top line? Absolutely there was. But at the end of the day, I don't think Dylan Larkin controlled the controllables enough. And if he did, maybe we'd be talking about them as a playoff team.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. And another thing that is fair is to look at Mo Seider's season and think he didn't take the step up that you would have expected from him.
No.
And I want to ask you what you think that step up will look like, and will he step up this year and really show that quality that we think he has?
He has to. He literally has to. And you guys know I love Mo Seider. He's probably my favorite player on the team. He's got to step up. And stepping up for Mo Seider is not being, the 70-point defenseman. It's not being this guy that's going to get in there or score you 15 goals on a season. Stepping up for Mo Seider is eliminating the mental mistakes that we saw him throughout the year. Those small things, because he's the most physical guy on the team, and it's really not that close. He is the best defenseman on the team, and it's really not that close. Again, young guy, so this is part of the learning curve. In the same boat as Raymond, consistency for an entire season is what you need out of Mo Seider. And it's not like he had a month where he fell off, or the second half of the season he was just not physical or not good. It's the small moments where he has the mental mistakes that allow easy scoring opportunities for other teams. We saw that throughout the year where he was playing a great period, he was having a great game, and then in this little 2-minute stretch, he allows a couple quick scoring opportunities by giving a puck up or just forgetting about somebody in front of the net. Those are the little things in his game that he needs to clean up to go from being a very good defensive defenseman to one of the best defensive defensemen in the NHL. And that's very nitpicky and that's very small, but that's where his game is. He's almost there. He just needs to make that last step to go from being a very good defenseman to an elite defenseman.
I actually don't think it is nitpicky. I mean, maybe a little bit, but at times they were just a little bit too glaring, the mental lapses. And that's really, to me, all that he really needs to clean up, because when you look at just the numbers last year, 7th in the NHL in block shots, top 5 in the NHL in block shots plus hits. That's part of what he does. Just getting in front of pucks, laying people on their ass. That's what I love about Mo Seider. But it is the mental mistakes. It's also the fact that he played a large part of the season next to a very inconsistent Ben Sherratt.
Absolutely. Yes. That does not help him. He has never had a good pairing.
Yes, but this is like what I said with Larkin, and I wanted, and this also applies to Lucas Raymond as well. He needs to control the controllables a little bit better. The mental lapses, they can't happen. And I suspect this year, the defense, the top 2 pairing, and as a whole, the top 4 defense will be much better, and that will help him with that. But he's got to control what he can control.
100%. He's got to become more physical. He's got to become the alpha. I think that he needs to take control of the locker room. You heard McClellan and Stevie talk about it. They want to see him step up into an assistant captain role. They want to see him take control, and I think that's something that's going to be really big for him in his development, is becoming the Red Wings dude, because they need that dude on defense. And
they need that dude on the team.
Yeah, especially
Not
to be
just
that
defense.
physical presence. Like, this team lacks a true physical presence, and it will help if Seider starts laying guys out. It will help Edvinsson be like, oh, I got a huge body too. I could do that. And
yes.
And it's a snowball effect to help everyone on the team be more successful.
Sorry, I was just really weird video pulled up on my Twitter. This dude greasing up of never mind. But yeah, so I agree 100%. And Flannel was right. Getting him consistent play with the pairmate or with his mate on his pairing is going to be a big step for him, because that will, when you have the guys that he's been across from on his defensive pairing, you have to think about them a little bit. You have to think about, I got to overcompensate a little bit because Ben Sherratt's going to get beat if he doesn't turn around fast enough. I got to overcompensate a little bit because Wallman can't play defense. I got to overcompensate a little bit because these guys are old and slow next to me that I've been paired with, or these guys are young and fresh next to me and they don't know the in and outs of the NHL like I do just yet. Get him somebody that he can rely on in that top pairing, and you'll see the game step up a little bit. I believe in Mo Seider. And I think he's going to go out there and take care of business next year. I do. I love the guy. And I think, as much as Neil likes to poo-poo it for some, you know Neil's shtick, the world's experience for him on Team Germany and being that guy being that leader, being that alpha on Team Germany, I think is going to help him next year be that guy on the Red Wings.
No doubt about that. And I just want to bring up a couple interesting things about Todd McLellan, because I do think that Todd McLellan is going to be a big factor in Mo Seider really taking that next step. So when when Todd McLellan was coaching in San Jose, he had a young defenseman, Vlasic, and he was very raw. He's a defensive defenseman. He's a big defenseman, and he was able to mold him into a disciplined defender. He doesn't have the offensive capability that Mo Seider has, but to be able to mold him into a really nice defenseman, you could see what he did with that. The next example I have, he coached Darnell Nurse in the Oilers, who extremely raw, picked 7th overall, extremely similar situation to Mo Seider. He's 6'4", and he made him from being a minus defenseman to a plus defenseman under him. That's another example. Mo Seider has more offensive skill set than both these guys, so that even gives me more hope for Mo Seider. Thank you. And the last example I want to bring up is Matt Roy. Matt Roy was a young player coming into the league as McLellan took over in LA, and you have seen his ascension. And he left because McLellan got fired. Yeah. He left and went to Washington. So you can see how this track of defensemen that McLellan has, and I really can't wait to see what he does with Seider and Edmondson this offseason, and even seeing guys like Johansson hopefully taking another step. I'm not asking for a big step the way I'm asking for Seider or for Edmondson because they're that level prospect. A small step for Johansson as well would help this team immensely.
Yeah, it would solidify 3 of your top 4 defensemen if Johansson takes that step too, because I like him, and he, again, if you're going to be small, you're going to be tough. You got to be tough, and he is an undersized defenseman, but he gets his fucking nose in there. I like that about the kid. So, yes, I think not having Derek Lalonde over the summer, we're going to see improvement from these young guys that we didn't see in the years prior. Actually having Todd McLellan in that system and what he wants to do in there, I think we're going to see more of a jump from Mo Seider and Lucas Raymond and Simon Edvinsson and these guys, because he knows what to do. He knows how to he knows how to make these players better, and all of them participating in these Worlds tournaments and different things like that, I think helps as well. As much as Neil doesn't credit.
No. I mean, Todd McLellan's the wild card. He's a competent coach. He's done it for many years, and his role in the development of the young guys, I don't think can be understated. At least when it comes to hope and when it comes to past trends or past happenings to form a future trend.
And as we continue to get in the weeds of this Todd McLellan being the coach of the Detroit Red Wings, I think we're seeing more and more how good of a hire this ended up being. Even though it was a midseason acquisition, you see the way that he coaches his teams, very defensive oriented, very hard hitting, big teams, and that's where you want to get as the Red Wings. So I think that you're starting to see that, and I hope that Spenny's right, and you start seeing this ascension by these players because they have him in the room for an entire offseason. So speaking of the offseason, we got to hit a couple more free agents because we got a couple more questions we're going to hit before we wrap up in the next couple minutes. And I'll also read some comments from the last episode like we've been trying to make sure that we do more frequently. But we got to talk about Shane Gostisbehere.
Yeah.
-7. That was as of after game 1. And they just got shut out and 5-0'd. So I'm assuming he's...
But, Justin, I thought Carolina was going to win. Living, breathing humans who walk this earth told me Carolina was going to win this series. I don't know what they're like. Jesus Christ, man. Learn puck.
Yeah, and learn puck because you have to realize that Shane Gostisbehere doesn't help you in any regard that you need help in. He sucks. He sucks as a defenseman. He is small. He's not physical. He is a power play merchant. The one thing he would have helped this team is getting pucks out of the breakout. But at the end of the day, I'm not willing to overpay a 34-year-old that isn't going to be here when we're ready to win a cup anyway, and isn't a Stanley Cup player. And he's shown that. He's shown that. He sucked in March and April last year. He sucks in the conference finals. Like, get it? Like, I don't even understand why people want him here.
I mean, when you watch Justin Hall and Jeff Petrie play, it's reasonable why you would want Shane Gostisbehere.
I do understand that, but you couldn't get rid of them. Like,
I agree.
Unless you bought them out. Like,
no,
but
getting like Gostisbehere played well for us when he was here, and again, a lot of people remember the highlights. They remember the flash. They remember the things that stick in your head, and the jumping up and saving the puck from going out of the zone, leading to the goal to tie the game, is something that stays in people's heads. And Gostisbehere is a good offensive defenseman, but that's it. He's obviously shown that he is not the type of guy that you need in your top 4 if you're trying to win a Stanley Cup. And
bottom 2 defensemen.
Although he's better than, I would say, half of the Red Wings defensive core right now, he's not the guy you want. Red Wings fans that say they want these tough, sturdy defensemen, we need guys in there that are going to hit people and make the PK better. That is not Shane Gostisbehere. Now, I like you had me in the second half, not going to lie, because the first half of your statement is he doesn't provide anything that this team needs. I was like, okay, yeah, that's true, because he's obviously provides something. He's a very good power play player and directs that very well, but you know that Mo Seider stepped in there and there wasn't too much of a drop-off from the year before. But yeah, he's not what the Red Wings need in a defenseman right now. Although he's a good player, you need a tough asshole. Like, give me Canadians. I want more Canadians on the Red Wings team. I want and like, I talked a lot of shit about Canada, but you know, that's part of the game. I'm a USA guy all the way. But not even just Canadians. Give me more big asshole North American players. Canadians, Americans, defensemen, forwards. I don't give a fuck. Give me a couple big toothless assholes to put out there and beat the shit out of somebody. That's not Shane Gostisbehere.
Hey, yeah, I don't think I can add much to that in the interest of time, so you can go ahead and
I like the $2.5 million worth of ammo you have, because you didn't sign Shane Gostisbehere personally, but that's just me. And another caveat to that, I was talking to DMAC about it. DMAC literally told me that he didn't want to be here. Shane Gostisbehere didn't even want to be here, so like there's no point in even arguing about it, because he didn't want to be here. He went to Carolina because he wanted to be in Carolina. So that's insider information.
Yeah.
Do with it what you want. But he didn't want to be here, so it doesn't even matter. So get off my dick.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Like, I liked Gostisbehere. I liked what he brought. But yeah, we don't need more Shane Gostisbeheres.
No, we do not.
We need a big asshole. He's not a big asshole. He's American though, but I want a big Canadian asshole.
Speaking of big assholes, we see
shout out Bonnie Blue.
We see them in the playoffs and how big these teams are and how physical these teams are, especially the higher seeds. Was it actually important to make the playoffs this year just to get blown out?
Yes. Yes, it's never not important to make the playoffs. And I know that's the thing is there a difference between being a team that is missing the playoffs by 1 point or 7 points, whatever it was this year, and being a team that gets wrecked in the first round? There's not really that big of a difference when you look at the pantheon of the NHL, but it's a difference because our young guys need playoff experience. And getting into that first round and getting your shit kicked in by Florida is a welcome to the league moment. So yes, I want that.
Yep, to me it is the last check on the Steve Bot checklist, the last check of copium. Like, oh, we didn't even want to make the playoffs anyway. Did you see what would have happened? I just don't vibe with that. I take making the playoffs any day of the week. And I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with being a Steve Bot. It's just, to me, that's going a little bit too far. Make the playoffs, get some experience, get those playoff lumps, and then move ahead to next year.
I think two things can be true. I think that it is important to have that welcome to the league moment and to go in the playoffs and get your ish kicked in.
Your shit pushed in.
But I didn't need to see it this year. This team was so not ready. They were just going to get whooped anyway. And I think that if you have a team that can be like next year, if you were to make the playoffs, the team will be more complete than it was this year. And I think just even stealing one game in a playoff series instead of just getting swept does so much more for your guys, because it shows them, oh, you can do this. You're so close. And you just need to bring that physicality. And I think it's very draining to get blown out and 4-0'd. And on another caveat to that, the team that you're going to be competing on bringing in a star with is the Montreal Canadiens, and they made the playoffs, and now you have a higher draft pick than them. So in any trade conversation, you have the upper hand because you have the better draft pick and the more capital. So I think that...
Yeah, screw the Canadiens.
They
suck.
In the long term, I think it was a good
somewhere.
thing, but I did want to see them make the playoffs to get that moment of getting their ish kicked in so they could learn to be more physical.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I am never going to say it's okay not to make the playoffs. Like, never. And is there this huge difference? The Red Wings are a borderline playoff team. It's what they are right now. And personally, like you said, it would have been draining for the team to be like, damn, we're that far from being a good team after getting your shit pushed in 4-0 to Florida. But also, it would have changed the mentality, I think, a little bit in the psyche of Steve Yzerman and the fan base because right now the psyche is, we're just a little bit away. We're that close to making the jump, to being a playoff team.
Jumps.
The jump isn't being a playoff team.
Yep.
The jump from what they are now to being a playoff team is not the jump. The jump is being what you are now to winning a playoff series. And so I think getting your shit pushed in would have been, okay, come to life moment. We're not there. We gotta get better. We need more. And then maybe it pushes some things different ways. But I mean, Steve Yzerman knows that.
Yeah, he knows that. And
but the fan base is like, we're almost there. We're almost. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
You're almost there to being.
We are still 3 or 4 players away.
Yes.
Straight up, and that's how it is.
And a goalie.
So hopefully we can get some more out of the Red Wings this year. Hopefully we can continue to get some more news. We're going to have D-Mac on at some point. We're hoping that it is the free agency episode right when free agency drops. We're going to hope that we can get D-Mac on that and get his opinion on how free agency is going. So thank you so much for watching and tapping in.
Canadians suck, dude.
The way that he just looked up. Shout out to Sean. Shout out to all the Big D crew. I'm actually just going to read a couple comments before we wrap just because I promised I would.
Yeah, you better hurry up.
Yep, I know. This is going to be speed demon, so keep your answers short if you want to respond to them. Great show, guys. Love the puck talk. Shout out Motor City Patriot. Octopus. Justin, you're doing a great job with adding Spenny and Flannel as co-host. It is the perfect compliment for the show. Nice job, boys. Thank you, Octopus.
Love you
appreciate
guys.
the love.
Thank you.
I wish this was a regular Woodward show like the others, but this is a good lineup of personalities. Thank you, Lion Claw 88. We appreciate you. And we. I wish Flannel would talk into the mic a little more so we can hear him, and we will take that into account. This has been Woodward Wings. We are getting pushed out of the studio. We will catch you next week. Thank you for watching.
Peace.